All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of ClickFunnels Radio. I'm insanely excited to introduce uh, a new friend of mine and somebody that I've seen a lot of their content on Twitter, on YouTube, and they have been doing some amazing
And
stuff. And they
it's
have a
called X now. It's called X.
oh yeah, yeah, right. So
The
here we
Twitters.
have Chris Cameron, co-host, and I guess the jester now, jester's privilege, kind of
Okay,
chiming
thanks,
in
man.
on
Yeah, sure.
the
Yeah.
granted. Okay, but someone that's got incredible content, greater backstory, a wealth of knowledge. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Ryan Clogg on ClickFunnels Radio. Ryan, thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
So go ahead,
I,
Chris.
I was gonna say I kind of want to start. Here's the deal, okay? You got warrior babe, but I want to clear this up. Yeah, you might be a warrior, but you're clearly not a babe, and you've never been through and probably will never go through menopause. However, and you're definitely not a woman over 40. So why warrior babe, and what? How did that happen? And like, how are you focusing on this, Ryan?
Yeah, so I am co-owner, not co-founder, right? So
Okay.
let's clear that up before any of this. But
All
I was
right. Cool.
essentially
Yeah.
number 4 or 6, somewhere in that range. We can just meet in the middle and call it 5 on the team. And it was started by the two co-founders, one that's kind of more internet marketing EE, for a lack of a better phrase, and then the other, which is the co-founder brand face, and she is the one who has all the results, had all the experience, all of that. So it's really you could call it expert operator. A lot of people call it now, or like that offer
Yeah.
publisher style thing. Built the
Mm.
business with her and around her, right, across this whole thing. So we're very paid driven and really built her brand through this, around this. But she had insane results before. Started super, light in terms of like getting in person clients through paid advertising, and then moved into online, full remote. And then we have a whole transition we can go into or not, but the offers and the product stack had changed over time, from everything from low ticket in the very beginning to kind of your like hybrid info product to now full on coaching. So the actual deliverable, and to answer directly, the deliverable is through coaches now that have mass amounts of experience in this space, specifically for women, for 40 to 60-year-old women, for that specific, use case and result.
This is
Interesting.
awesome, man. So many
Yeah, I love
people
that.
do this attractive character thing where one person does, and a lot of times their superpower may not be the operations side, right? But they can be the face, and they go out and do all this stuff. And a lot of times when you find somebody, it's like a Batman Robin thing or something. You have this face of the company, and then you have an operator. So would you say you're kind of more on that integrator operator side and kind of
Yeah,
doing all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Leaned into that more so in the last 6 months to a year, in my specifics. So basically, the stack was like sales, marketing, product, face, right? It was kind of the
Yeah.
initial, right? Because in the beginning, it's just sales and marketing, right? There's not really
Mm.
there's nothing to operate. So it started a lot like that. And I cannot give enough credit to them for both founding it, like that 0 to 1. It's not my skill set. I've never done it. I've only done the 1 to N. And they crushed it with that. And then the co-founder brand face, like she is the lifeblood. The client wins channel is firing off. And the methodology she's created, the framing, the brand all around that, that she's evolved through I think 6 or 7 years now it's been, is just like unbelievable. So as we began to scale from, because essentially I want to get into the offer stack because it's kind of changed how then the roles moved. But we did start with a lower ticket model. Lady Boss, through you guys, right, was like a big poster child at the time when we were doing this, and we were, funnel, right? We were funnel hacking version of the
Yeah.
of that, right? We were like kind of how they did their
I don't
offer
have anything.
stack, but our piece was all more so around not general fat loss. It was the get toned. It was the strong is the new sexy. It was like this, like, more aggressive style, which fit the personal, right, brand of that. And yeah, so we started as the low ticket. And then as we transitioned, we moved into a call funnel with an info product that was $500, mind you, over the phone, $500, which nobody tried that at home. It doesn't work now with the economics. And then scaled that up to $1,000, $1,500 for lifetime access to this info product. And then basically we're stuck at 1 million a month. And then we transitioned, we left everything the same on the marketing front, and then moved it to just a different offer of coaching on the back instead, 1 to 1 coaching. And that was the jump to 3 million a month. So same funnel stack, same acquisition, just pitching something different, which obviously changes some of the metrics, but the back end then backed out to there. So I say that because as we scaled into these other pockets, us three kind of broke out into like our sweet spots and our skill sets. So the initial like internet marketing style co-founder, Luke, he moved into sales marketing CEO. Like that's his really strong suit. He was spending for us up to 20K plus a day. So like we
Hmm.
didn't even need to bring people into that marketing suite. And then he and I were leading some version of sales. At one point she did, but she led into brand face, marketing assets, fulfillment, product, like all of that. She's like the superstar of that. And that's the client result side. And then I leaned into all the tech, built all the tech systems, ops, like as that went. And then more so, way more ops than the tech and systems and like infrastructure.
Dang, dude, let's take one step back because that's
Please.
insanely impressive. How'd you get involved, not only with your current company, but let's just start with the internet. Why that? Why
Yeah.
operations? Give us a sense to your, business
Yeah.
interests.
Yeah. Went to ASU in my dorm for a year in class for a semester and kind of instantly knew that wasn't going to be the play and tried to do some like finance, private equity stuff. I didn't really know what that was up until then. Long story, but over a year, deal almost is right there, falls through, bad partnership, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what is next? And that was when I bought my first internet marketing thing for $497 through a webinar funnel that I now know, but didn't at the time. And it was
What
all
was it?
about will not mention. But
Okay,
it was all
okay.
about Instagram shout outs essentially. So it's Instagram
Yeah.
shout outs because I think he's off the radar now and I don't want to dox him, but
Hmm.
it's what was all about Instagram shout outs. So you're basically creating a graphic, contacting all these Instagram pages, putting it on there and doing a link in bio. You're sending them to an opt-in page. And then the goal was that you actually set the thank you page as a redirect to a ClickBank offer to liquidate. So, right. So you're paying $300 over here. You're getting whatever, 500 leads, 1,000 leads. And then those are directly getting redirected after to a niche, let's call it women's fitness because we're there. And then
Hmm.
they watch some ClickBank thing and you make $200-300 a day and it liquidates. And then you're just supposed to mail the list and monetize. And real quick, I learned after getting 20,000 email subscribers in like 2 weeks doing this and breaking even that I literally couldn't afford the email hosting bill for Aweber. And I didn't know how. I didn't want to, fake email from somebody. Like the whole model was just reliant on me doing this part. And I just couldn't do it and didn't have the wherewithal to understand I could pay someone to email the list and take a percent and like do all that. So that was the initial chops, which then led me into ClickFunnels, which then led me into e-com stuff, like doing all the things. I was doing everything you can imagine on like make money online vibe of courses and education and lead gen and affiliate and this stuff. And I'd get everything up to a couple grand a day and an ad account would go down or I'd explode over here or my interest would go over here. Like any of them would have worked. All the courses were good. It was me who was not leaning into that. And I will say that till the day I die. Is like all these courses, if someone can do it or someone has done it, you can do it like 100%. And I just didn't. So I was fumbling around a ton and then ended up buying a consulting.com. So Sam Ovens course, the middle
Cool.
tier. And then again, without having the wherewithal to see beyond right here, realized I didn't want to be the expert consultant. What did I know? Who was I to do that? And it's just not really my scene to be like, until recent, like literally, 2 months ago to like share anything or be public. Um, I really quick realized that wasn't going to do what was in the course. And so I was just in the community. I learned all the stuff and it was all about doing exactly the business model we now run. And I met somebody in the group that posted in the community and that ended up being Luke. Got on a call with
Uh,
him, started doing some sales page random builds, making $1,000 every 6 weeks. And next thing you know, 5 years later, we're here. So
at one point, did they want to bring you on full time? Like, did these funnels, these pages you're building are crushing? Hopefully you're building ClickFunnels. If not, get your free trial, clickfunnels.com. Everyone listening, just kidding. But what was that process like?
yeah, it was at that time it was long form two-step on page. So I was like learning,
Sweet.
I knew a little bit of stuff around CF Pro Tools was kind of newer, but we were using some functions out of that and like
Shout out Jamie. Yeah.
yeah, right. And making it so, we could capture opt-in information on a three-step basically. We're trying to funnel hack everybody who does it. So I was building those. And at the time it was more so, we were just so short-sighted. There was no ascension to it, which is the whole
Mm.
point of doing it, right? Something like that, low ticket. We had an OTO that was lifetime access that like it did liquidate. It was making some money, but we didn't know our numbers on retention and churn and LTV, in comparison to cat. Like we just didn't know any of that. So yeah, I was basically building those and Luke called me one day and was like, "Yeah, like how do we take this thing to 10 million?" And I was like, "Let's just do a call funnel." Like it was right when COVID had started, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Let's
Yeah.
just let's just do a call funnel." And we had this course that they had already made and had sold whatever 100 units of maybe that was this basically ovens model thing. So it's your large Kajabi portal, your group coaching, and your community. And it was like not really fleshed out, but like it had all of the pieces and parts and all of the course content already built. We're like, let's just sell it over the phone so we can control the economics. So that was when. So at that point, Luke was like, all right, cool. Like ownership, let's do this. Let's break it out. And that's evolved over time.
So you talk about this book a call thing. Um, and then you also said that it doesn't work anymore because the economics. So this was a $500 thing. Is that the one that you're referring to?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, think about it. If you have a $200 cost per call, which is like,
Totally.
yeah, right. That's before showed call. 50% of your calls are going to
Exactly.
show rough numbers. Now you have a $400 live call. Do the math on how you're going to make more than 500. And that's before
Exactly.
overhead. That's before, right? That or sales commissions. Your sales commission alone plus that is you're losing money.
Do you guys still run that model at all, just at a higher price point?
Yes. We did
Mm.
72 million directly through a call funnel. Same one.
Okay, so I want to know like the steps of that call funnel. I'd love to hear like pricing.
So let's
Are you
go.
sending them to like a
Yeah.
VSL? Are you sending them to like a webinar first that's booked a call? What is the process?
Yeah, so we've never done webinars. We've never done pre-recorded in that way where it's like,
Okay.
a GIT, whatever, or JIT. Like we've never done any of those directly. We did actually, it's not true. We tried it way back before we started the call funnel and just turned it off. But no, the funnel ended up, so at that time we had bought the consulting.com program. I had bought Becker's program that he had at the time, which was Iron Mastermind, and we bought Sales Process IO. So I bought like $15,000 worth of courses, locked myself in an Airbnb, and we built it like over a weekend. And it is opt-in page, which is your
Dude,
classic
Ryan,
opt-in.
you are the epitome, by the way, of marketing nerd. When I see you light up, it's like,
Yeah.
let's talk numbers, let's talk
Dude,
conversion.
no,
Like
I know.
this
Yeah,
is
this is
your
my speed.
Everyone
wheelhouse.
be taking notes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no. And again, the important part of what you said at the beginning is like, the 46-year-old women and the client wins and like it fuels this whole machine.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan of taking the internet marketing principles and applying them to something that's not towards other marketers. I think there's a
Yeah.
place for it for sure. And there's, 50
Oh,
people in a
yeah.
room and they all
You don't
sell to
want
each
people to
other.
teach coaches how to coach people on
No,
coaching?
I don't. And I guess
Okay.
what? There are people who crush it at this and like the top kingpin people. And I also
Yeah.
think there is a lane for it for the guy who's the best at webinars and the best at SMS and the best at this selling to each other. But when it
Yeah.
gets to a little more broad stroke, it just like how to be the best at like acquisition and then they're all selling that, but that's a separate point. But yeah, so the funnel itself is opt-in page. It's your classic. It is your headline image, right? We've tested a few variations. We basically stuck on the same with the pop-up name, email. We do not do phone number. We do not do phone number because at the time and still to this day, we don't have the capacity to use the phone numbers well enough to justify the decrease, right? Because you're going to get 30% less opt-ins with a phone number. You can wiggle that and optional and whatever, but just call it that.
Hey, I'm looking at this right
Yeah.
now, and I notice you've got the quick video and it's vertical. Usually, you'd have like a sales page like this, and it's going to be, the landscape. Is there a reason that you used vertical here? Is that to match up with just like reels
Mobile.
and everything else?
Yeah, so it depends which one you're on, but yeah, so there's a large swath of what you're looking at. So
Okay, cool.
the at the time it was a VSL opt-in funnel up until 2, 3 months ago. And it
Okay.
was all 72 million were through that. And it was an opt-in
Wow.
page, name, email, go to VSL. Over X amount of time, we rolled out what you're talking about, which is a vertical versus a horizontal. Vertical is only supposed to play on mobile, but depending on what you're looking at, some haven't been edited for the newer stuff you're looking at. They're
Okay.
going to watch that, and there's going no CTA is huge. So no CTA on that at all. Forced consumption. You're going to have a massive amount of drop off, and that's okay because you get their email, right? So we
Mm.
remarket heavy.
Mm.
They will then be able to apply. They fill out an application. We've on variation 16 of the application, and then they go from the app to book a call. They book a call and they talk to a sales rep and they talk to a sales rep and 1/2 if it's a follow-up call close. And
Okay,
that's been the process.
before we go further though, you said version 16, all right?
Yes.
So this is all data driven. What are some of the key things that made you say, okay, we're going on to the next version? And then how did you kind of know which was performing better and say, all right, now we're going to do this version?
Yeah, so we tie everything. So the difficulty with something like this versus, just looking at your ClickFunnels stats page is on-page conversion percentage does not map to revenue per XYZ action.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So you need backend no matter what. So I don't know how we don't do it in ClickFunnels at this scale because where we're at. So we use HubSpot for our CRM, but you need somewhere that stores all of that data. Because for example, let's use something extreme just because it's easier to think of. 2 opt-in pages and one promises a free cruise and one promises a, get toned and it's going to be the hardest thing of your entire existence. One's going to get a 2% opt-in rate and one's going to get, an 80% opt-in rate.
Doesn't mean
But the
they're
people
spending
who
money.
then yeah, but the one that on the back end that's actually going to convert into your product that has congruency that is coming in with the right framing is going to be a higher revenue per lead or per
That's
whatever
the number that
action
matters.
call than yes. So there's a lot of different numbers. It's the rev, it's cash collected, it's net, it's,
Yeah,
you
so it's
know,
not as simple as saying this video outperformed. There's a lot of other pieces that do
no,
this.
it could have, one could have a 50% engagement rate, one could have a 20% engagement
Mhm.
rate. But if the 20% one says, oh, this is expensive and you're going to have to work for this and it's going to be like it's application only, and the other one says, oh, it's a free breezy ride and just apply, everyone gets into it and it's $12, one's going to have a higher click through, higher app, higher booking, but they're not going to convert.
Yeah,
And
this
what
is kind
actually
of the
matters?
this is kind of like popcorn at the movie theater idea. I don't know. It's not a direct correlation, but like which would actually sell more, like revenue wise. Yeah, we're gonna sell a lot more popcorn at $5 than $10. But what's the actual revenue at the end of the day?
Yeah. And when you only have one offer, in that example, it's much more difficult, right? Because like
Dude,
Mm.
yeah.
you can't even swing it by volume, right? It's literally just do they close. It's a unit game. And then obviously cash per unit, but we have those numbers, so those are different.
Wow.
Let's let's get nerdy. Let's get nerdy.
Too late.
Um,
We already did,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, that's also true. We're going to continue to get nerdy. One of my favorite sayings, especially in this game, is just the path is math, right? There's so much that it's actually not too difficult to make the right data-driven decision when your foundation is set in the proper way. I really feel like everything you've done professionally has accomplished that perfectly. What did you do? Because it kind of seems like maybe you came into this business and they weren't as dialed in as they should have been. I'm not trying to generalize, but just based on this conversation, and you came in and really tightened the screws. You mentioned like CAC to LTV, looking at full funnel conversion rates. What? Tell us that process. Like, what did you do to
Yeah.
start to figure out those numbers?
Yeah, that this is a full evolution of all three of us throughout this. Luke is light years ahead of me in everything, and in all these ways, she is light years ahead of me in all these ways, and I have my little pocket of skill set that has been evolved through doing this. Let's be very clear, this was not I came into it and was like, oh, what's your LTV to CAC ratios and what is this and that. Like, this has been an evolution over years and like learnings from doing, and also continuing to buy courses, continuing to mass consume content like
Love
no
that.
other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did not know any of this coming into this. I mean, I literally applied basically to work with Luke to learn everything about sales, marketing, funnels, and whatever, and knew the smidget of it. But like, I learned pretty quick and learned that, and then we're all in newfound. Like we joke that everyone at the company, up until recent, every time we do a record month, it's everyone's PR. Like there's not someone coming in with experience that's like, oh, let me
Mm.
apply this system and model of somewhere else, which has been a shortcoming, right, over time because we maybe hit these levels and it's like we don't know how to go past
Yeah,
these
that's real.
sales. We don't know how, like, and you try and model it off someone from YouTube or some course or something, and you get, up to that level maybe, or kind of spin it your own way or apply it yourself. And only as of recent. So like when went from 1 to 3, we brought in a sales manager that had done 3 before in his pod. He was a top pod leader at another info coaching company that was at like 12 million a month, I think at the time, or not. Actually, that's not true. They're at sub 10. Now they're at like 12 to 15, but he had run their pod, their highest performing pod. Came in, we switched the offers, we added, we added all this stuff, and he put in, the energy and the time and the development and all this stuff into the people, and we went from 1 to 3, right, over that year. And that was last year. Going from last year we did whatever 11 or 12 or 2 ago, and then last year 2024 we did 30 in that jump. So we 3x'd year over year.
Big jump.
Everything broke, right? So it's like everything that could break broke. And yeah, so all to say that like we learned this stuff during it, and now yeah, this is much more my pocket. And I have learned the numbers back and forth and everything down
Mhm.
to margin, if you're selling an info versus coaching versus what, and the sales reps making comms on 30-day versus full contract value and cash collection percent, like blah blah blah. But like, yeah, I didn't know any of this. So I learned all of this by doing it in it, and every month is my PR too. So definitely some
Mhm.
short-sightedness and comings of that. But now our new CSO has gone, done over 100 a year in phone sales, which is fantastic. So in our 8 to 10 million a month, he's done before. Our outbound director has done 3.5 million, I believe, in setter before. Our CMO has sold over 100,000 load tickets through one funnel. So like we're stacking the team now, and it's on, C-suite or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, they've already done PRs outside of us, and now it's like, hey, let's just implement what we've done.
Yeah, that's a tough one because a lot of times you're looking at, you're learning and you kind of cap out and go to try to find somebody who's done more is difficult, right? To bring them in
Yes.
and like, if you're gonna have a software that you want to do 500 million a year in, probably good to have an operator that's done that
Yeah.
somewhere before.
Yeah. And that's a great example of like the software side or like the tech side. It's like we don't know. Like we joke that sometimes it is like enough duct tape wrapped around it, like it's not going to break. But is that the most efficient way to balance
Right.
a jet on the other end of it? And it's like, no, it's not. So like we just hired a company to come in and we're restructuring all of our data from like A to Z, source of truth,
Mm.
everything that's done it for $100 million, info
And that
coaching.
was
And
that's not cheap.
it's not terrible, but it's not cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Not terrible, but not cheap. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
In an ADD moment, I almost want to go back to this funnel though, because I think I cut you off. I was talking
No,
about
no,
other
you
stuff.
please.
Yeah, let's
So
go to the
okay, so you
funnel.
do this, yeah, you do this apply thing, right? And then they go to a call. You just mentioned setters and closers too. How does this go? How do you figure that out after they're kind of clicking apply now?
Yeah. So for 71 or 2 million up until 8 weeks ago, we had no setters whatsoever. So we
Okay.
did
Went straight
strictly
to a closer, like an hour-long
closer,
call or what?
30-minute phone slot,
Okay.
however many hundreds of calls a day, let's just say every day for
Whew.
years,
Yeah,
for
you got some
years.
sales warriors.
Yeah, no, it's a volume for us. It was always a volume game. It was much more around there to make the math work than it was around the crazy kind of like internet marketing sales stuff you hear of where it's all that. And all to say that's not necessarily the correct way to do it, or the best way to do it, because we could have squeezed more. We could have maybe, done this stuff. So we're in lieu of changes right now on how we maybe expand those. About 2 years ago, we moved everyone to Zoom. So it was phone calls before that. And then, yeah, the
Oh,
offer stack
interesting.
has changed throughout. So now everyone's on Zoom, one-to-ones, but
What's
then
what's the benefit there? Just that they're seeing the people talking, or the fact that it's in like a calendar invite that reminds them?
both, I
Why
mean,
is Zoom
both.
more
Yeah,
effective?
both. But I mean, our demo, right, 4060, there is a bit of a tech issue sometimes with the Zoom. So like phone's a good backup. But yeah, you can just control the narrative a lot better. It's like, you and I looking at each other here. There's also cons, right? It's like if you have a messy background, if you show up disheveled, if there's whatever, if you aren't confident in your thing, it's hard to pitch and if you're not confident. But there's a lot of it's a magnifying glass, simply put, right? So it's like, yeah, and then now we have a deck. So now we actually have like a pitch thing we walk through, that kind of highlights some important key aspects. We can show before and after. We can show the different stuff on call, that makes it a lot better as well. But
Well,
that's 2 weeks old.
okay, cool. So on this call, you have people who are good salespeople, some people who are learning, but with the deck, I think now you're having just people follow a script that makes more sense. But is there a discovery? Like what is
Yeah,
this
oh yeah,
script of this call? Give us kind of an
yeah.
idea of what that 30 minutes breaks down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gently getting out of my realm here, so I want that to be
Okay.
known. This isn't 100% my speed, but they just
Yeah,
rolled
yeah.
out a new script, and of course, yes, discovery. But initially, a big thing, right, with the time allotment is setting the frame, setting the tone. We don't have time to go and bounce around and go in
Yeah,
narratives
hopefully
and
the
stories.
application gets that background.
Yeah, application gets a lot of background that then you can prod into, and why can't you do this on your own, or why haven't you been able to, and the classic bridge the gap, right? For sure. And the beauty of what we do too, and what we're selling is the personalization aspect. So we're not pitching, you're pitching yes one thing, but within that thing has personalization beyond
Totally.
belief. So there are different people that come in different phases of, like you said, menopause. There's different age brackets. There's different current body types. There's different desired body types. You blend those all together, and there's 27 tracks you could go on, when you multiply that
Yeah.
out. So it's like, but all of them can tailor to that through this offering, which works out really well. So yeah, it's essentially doing that, through the deck, and then also highlighting, client wins, our process, how we look at this, all of that.
Quick video, application funnel, go to a call. What's the price point? And obviously, if you have a number of different things that your sales rep can now say, okay, this fits you best. Are they all at different price points? Kind of choose your own adventure or what?
Nope, all the same. So right now it's around 7 grand, for like a PIF. But there's payment plans internal. We have external as well that we do use kind of. But yeah, so it's around that price. Then we have the internal pay plans, equal out to more because you have the cash collection risk. But yeah, we've danced
I mean,
around.
think
I mean,
about it.
it's
That's
gone
crazy.
from 5, it's gone to 6, it's gone to 7. We have people in our space. I don't really like, competitors. We're all doing the same thing. We're all helping the same audience. Sometimes there's a little bit of overlap, but like there's ones that are 10 and 30K in our space,
Ooh.
and higher. I know that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it just depends on the offering. So where
So
we're at
you
with ours is that.
you went from 5 to 6 to 7. Is that because you're like, wait, shoot, we're selling a ton of these at 5. Let's try 6. And
Yeah,
then you
and
pay
just where the
attention to the
market
data.
went. Yeah, where the market went, and then also like I mass consume Hormozy information and understanding where a coach will sit on roster and how much they can make and have it very
Totally.
competitive for them and all that, and then having that as a function of margin. So it's like if they're going to make whatever 20% of the thing, it's like we need to divide that out and see where we can land that fits market. You're rocking hard place a little bit, but
I hope people are understanding like what they're hearing though, Ben. Like
Yeah.
a simple Video
Yes.
application phone funnel 70 plus million. I
Yeah,
mean, this
no
is not rocket
setters,
science.
no setters, volume. Like, yes, in that example, it's very much so like an acquisition company, right? It's not I mean, it's like direct response kind of, but like
Ish,
it
yeah.
has those principles, but it is a little bit more evergreen. Another thing we didn't super go into, so we have a large organic engine that exists that only services middle and bottom of funnel. So, and not necessarily by design. Let me make that also clear. Like it would be amazing if we had first click that was coming from there and we had organic flow and you talk to all these WAP guys and, a lot of the ClickFunnels guys too that, can make a couple $100,000 a month just strictly from their organic audience. That has not been the case historically for us. It is extremely paid media driven. 90 whatever percent of it is first click paid. And then once they're in the ecosystem, once you drop them in there and X percentage of them apply, they go into the email flows. We send 10 emails a day. We point them back to the website, and there's a content web for days. You could watch content around every specific piece, and there's podcasts, and there's videos, and there's long form blog. There's like everything. So that's been a really big thing for us. Because when you're running that kind of volume and what you're doing, you're saying call funnel, the big thing around call funnels, in my opinion, and we can go to the other funnels we're running now too, because I think that'll be helpful, is all about consumption. Because you're going from ice cold lead to, within 48 hours getting pitched 7K, 10K, 15K. And that's why the organic ones have such good numbers, because they have that trust and they have that consumption prior. So when you're going through paid, it's a different ball game.
Hmm. I hate this saying, Ryan, but it's true because the fortune is in the follow up. I probably because it's just too cliche at this point. But when you say content centered around middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, basically how I describe this to beginners sometimes is right when you're top of funnel, it's problem solution product, right? Would you say your content strategy drives around that a little bit as well? So a lot of YouTube content, podcast, etc., isn't really around the problem, but more solution based because it's built for middle and bottom of funnel.
Yes, solution and also like keyword, right? So think the very top of funnel being like lose weight, right? And then think middle of funnel using specifics around, strength training, using specifics around micro, macronutrients, like stuff like that. That's kind of more in depth
Hmm.
or more like, unless you don't know, right? Type of stuff. So there is a pocket that has existed that is a little bit more general, and we're starting up the content engine this week of like, let's do some correct packaging and let's try and do some kind of mass amounts of potential organic first click, which would be amazing for us. But yeah, a majority of it has existed in there. And then also there's a ton of content that's around customer reviews and customer long form testimonials. Cause we look at it like essentially the tranches of reviews are you're going to get your Facebook messages inside your group. You're going to get your comments. You're going to get your chats with coaches, whatever is text based. That's like the most volume you're going to get. The next is going to be your pictures, like your before and afters, your progress photos, stuff like that, which is going to be lesser but more impactful. The next layer is going to get them all doing a standardized like selfie video review that can be used. And then the bottom and the least, but the most impactful, in my opinion, is the long form customer interviews. So we have a ton of content that exists like that on site and on YouTube that is long form, 30 to 50 minutes of, Nikki brand face and company lead doing customer interviews with 1, 2, 3 year customers of the product, which acted
Love
really,
that.
really good as middle and bottom funnel, but would never be something that is a cold top of funnel thing. They're not going to.
Yeah. Yeah, right. All right. So last thing around, or at least that I have around follow up, you've mentioned a piece of this organic content is email as well, right?
Yeah.
This is lead capturing. How much of a autoresponder are your leads put in to still book a call? How long does that last?
Yeah, I
If
mean,
maybe they didn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're sending 5 to 10 million emails a month at this point. So as an individual, so someone comes in and they opt in, but they don't apply. So the flows are essentially for the VSL funnel is going to be your opt no apply, your apply no book, your book no show, and then your, closed basically, right? You're going to have those simple buckets. So they're going to get the most contextual follow-up possible. The golden nugget win is in order to get those first opens and those clicks, you're going to fire off that they're getting that training, which is very common. But in our VSLs, a lot of the old ones, we're testing some stuff without this now. So don't tell me I'm not doing it now when you funnel hack me. But we will do, stay until the end and you get these bonuses. And in doing that, we then deliver it via email. So that gets really good opens and clicks and all that. And then on that, you're sending them back to a page that's the VSL testimonial wall. Your bonuses are at the bottom, and they scroll all the way to the bottom to get the bonuses that are info products, that are calculators, that are PDFs, that are whatever. So that's that initial flow is your opt no apply. So you're going to get all those contextual. Someone's going to apply but not book. Call it 50% of those people. There are people out there that embed the widget and say they get 100%, which obvious because you can't complete the form without the booking. But the app no books are hot for us, and that's where we get phone number for the first time. So you can do email follow up, you can do text follow up, you can introduce setters, you can do whatever, and then the next is going to be that no show, basically no show reschedule pipeline, and then closed. With that, that's your automations. Now your blasts or your campaigns or whatever you call them in your software, we're sending 2 a day, every day, forever.
2 a day?
2 a day, every day.
That's what, middle of funnel content primarily?
Yeah. That's, oh, hey, check out this video. Oh, hey, do this. Oh, here's a link to a free product. Here's an asset. Here's a free resource.
Chris, we got to relay that. 2 broadcast emails a day.
Every day.
Yeah, two a day. I mean, obviously you figured out that you're not getting a lot of unsubscribes, or you'd go down to 1 or something. So is that what you're tracking? Why 2 a day?
I watched a video way back when, and this is marketing team, right? Again, I kind of sit over here now and like I'm giving opinions on this or kind of like what we've done, but not what I'm doing. I'm not writing the emails every day and, analyzing the data down to the nth degree, but someone's on your email list because they want to be on your email list, right? They are for a reason. And the ones who don't want to, you'd rather them unsubscribe and be off that anyway than you would not, right? So like you want to give them the value. You don't want to hammer them with CTAs. You don't want to say like apply, like, just to hammer them with that. But if you're leading with value first and it's framed in a good way, that's actually good information and stuff they can consume, they can learn stuff, they can whatever, like no problem with it. No problem with it. When you're hammering them with CTA every day as one of the 2 emails, like no. That doesn't work or make sense. I mean, I'm sure it does work for some things, but you're just aggressively cleaning your list and getting rid of the people that maybe could convert after X amount of touch points, in my opinion. There's a lot of ways to do this, and there's a lot of pros on this portion of it. But yeah, our copywriter rate's 2 a day.
And that's crazy nurture too. My gosh.
Crazy nurture.
So how often are you dropping in CTAs then?
Well, it's all buried in the content too. So once you get to the content and everything on site has sticky here, like all these different directions. So, I mean, it's already all pushes there. And then that apply pushes to the center, to the middle of funnel of the other funnel of like the core funnel, right? Gotcha. So like your apply page brings them back into flow in the middle, which is extremely helpful, right? For all your tracking needs. Cause then you get all your sources and they all end up going into one place, but you have your path tracking. So what content works, what emails work. That's why we kind of like brief touched on it, but it's very, very important once you start to get to a certain size and scale that you're storing all of this in one place. You can use Close, you can use HubSpot, you can use, I'm sure ClickFunnels has some variation of it with all the touch points. I'm, not super privy. I'm on 1.0 to make it known. But I mean, you need somewhere that you can see when you're doing something that's not direct to cart. Because if you can't see that, then you don't know what is impactful. You don't know what touch points existed. We use Hyros for that piece of it, for the journey. We actually don't use Hyros for the pixel side of things, which is funny enough. We do that custom, but we use them for the journey because it's best out of the box that you can find where they went, what content pieces, what categories of content, all that.
Gotcha.
Fascinating. I know. What other funnels are we diving into? I know we mentioned VSL funnels. You had a couple.
We talked about the other ones,
but
we
have 3 right now.
Haven't heard about yet?
Yeah. So this is the whole like what popped off or whatever on YouTube, and because walking through these. So the three offers that we went through were low ticket, that was essentially like a recurring monthly app that had OTO that was lifetime access. So call it $27 with like a trial, and then it was $150, I think at the time, $147 for lifetime access. Idea being that you more than liquidated and that you made all your money on the recurring. Okay, that was like initial goal. Math wasn't mathing. We didn't have more ascension rungs. We didn't even know that was a thing at that time. We just weren't privy. Next was this info funnel, and we were selling an info product through a VSL opt-in funnel, which is the one I just described. We got up to $1 million a month just doing that, strictly through volume, right? We were doing 10 to 12 million bucks a year all day doing that. The next iteration was that exact same VSL opt-in funnel, and that's what we did 30 million with last year, and everything exploded. The acquisition exploded in Q3 into Q4 on the ad side, and then how that then filled calendars, because the other game here is direct to cart versus call funnel. You have availability. You need to constantly be threading that needle on how booked the calendars are for 10 sales reps or 50 sales reps. Where we broke was this. What you're saying is the other funnels and the acquisition. We didn't have anything teed up. We likely pushed it too far. We went too hard on that one funnel and for too long of an amount of time, and we didn't differentiate. We brought in a new CMO into this new thing. We had talked about low ticket. We had talked about these other type of funnels, and we had never done anything about it. And that is why we got caught holding, and it was bad. CPAs rising, trying to get marketing guys in. That's not working because it was around the actual structure and what we were using for the funnels as much as it was around the actual media buying and the creative. Okay. So the 3 funnels we run now, VSL opt-in funnel, that one still runs. Same core one. Okay. Still gets a majority of the piece of that comes through there. We have another VSL opt-in funnel that's the same funnel structure, but has a different VSL. I'm going to come back to this because it's going to be funny. The next one we're running is a DTA funnel, is what we're calling. Some call it a direct to VSL. I don't know what you guys call it over at ClickFunnels, but it's going to be your classic headline, VSL, apply button. So you're skipping the opt-in. Okay. With that, you lose consumption. You get rid of friction. We actually have a different app on there because we need to qualify them harder. And then it goes straight to booking. So your cost per call, your cost per app, whatever, is going to be way lower, generally speaking, because they can go right through it. There are different ways to do that where the button on there that apply is either it waits until the CTA, it waits X amount of minutes. You can do stuff with your VSL on Vitalytics or whatever the Omni, whatever one is to make it so you get opt-in information. We don't do any of that right now, but that one runs and gets a very good cost per call and very good cost per app and cost per call. But the issue is the consumption isn't there as much. You can only hammer them so much between the time that they apply or book and before they get on a phone call. So you have lower show rates and you have lower close rates because of the consumption and because of the friction. There are ways to nail this. There's ways to delay the CTA for 5 minutes and achieve a similar amount of consumption. Never going to be as much as someone who opted in and got 9 emails and watched this and then went over here and then applied, or was forced to wait until 22 minutes through the VSL to apply.
Right.
But yeah, so it's just a different game of consumption versus cost. It's like this economics model of cost versus consumption. And then the most recent and the one that's doing really well for us is the low ticket ascension. So we will sell a low ticket product, sub $50. And the entire goal of that is ascension into the back end, not AOV and not liquidation. I mean, yes, at some level, obviously you want to drive it as high as possible to try and aim for liquidation, but it is not front end profitable and the goal is not to be. So quick math on that. Let's say it costs you $100 to sell something that's $50. Okay. So your net AOV, or I'm sorry, your net CPA is $50. Right? The spread between those. You lost $50 for everyone you purchased. So for us, the thank you page is book a quick start call, book an implementation call, whatever you want to call it. And they book in a call with a setter. They talk to a setter for 15 minutes and then they get set with a closer and then the closer closes them. So 2-call close, but
Same
it is
product?
same
Same
the
core.
back end, yes. Low ticket products are different, right? Low ticket products are little pieces, little, info around this. We're super, super cognizant of like brand. So we are not the people who just throw up a PDF and sell it or do this or that. So we build out full, info products essentially for these. That's why it almost takes us kind of longer to launch stuff like this. But if your math is that, and you have $50 AOV, $50 net CPA, and then it's all about ascension rate. So it's knowing those two numbers. If 5% of the people ascend, you have $1,000 CPA on your back end thing. $50 divided by 5% ascension, $1,000. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the game we're playing now. Now the issue with that, keeping the net CPA in pocket, knowing that only 5% do it. If you want to sell 20 units a day, you have to sell 400 units on the front every day. Which, as I'm sure we all know, is difficult to keep within pocket within CPA. And then you deal with the availability issue the same way that you deal with it on a VSL opt-in funnel. You have to navigate a setter availability calendar and you have to navigate a closer availability calendar. You have to navigate show rates on a set call.
Not to mention their calendar, what they're available to do.
And then you can't bump those out more than 48, maybe 72 hours, or you lose show rates like no other.
Right.
So it's how tight can you get that window to where your ascension happens within 5 days. And you're going to get the people that are 30 days later, you're going to get those, which just drive that percentage up. But like if you're looking on day or across, 7-day windows, that's the game.
I think it's the best one.
Yeah. Have you seen though, like a bump with the setter thing? I've always had a hard time with that. Just me personally. Like if you've got them on the call, get them freaking closed. Like if you're going to say now we have another opportunity for them to miss a call or to cool off at all, Have
Yeah.
you've tested this and you think the setter thing's working well?
Yeah, so we tested, yes, very well. Very, very well.
Cool.
It's the hottest pocket for setters on show and close rate.
Wow.
Setters exist in 3 buckets right now for us. They exist as auto set, which is what we're going to call these. So they get auto bookings on their calendar and they convert them into closed call sets. They get
Okay.
self sets, which is going to be your classic like app notebooks, ring the CRM, do all those things. And then they're going to get confirmed sets. They're actually confirming all of the ad bookings and all the marketing bookings. So they'll dial them within 1, 3, 5 minutes, max 5, once they book a call and then didn't come from a set. And they'll confirm with them, it's this time zone, it's a Zoom call. Here's what we're going to cover. I saw you put this in your app. Is that correct? Like that kind of stuff. The quick start call is the most interesting because someone is now coming in with the framing. That's the issue, is the framing. Because if you send that straight to a closer calendar, they're going back to back on people who booked in, who watched the VSL, that knew this was a program they were applying for and doing this. Your next call is coming from low ticket ascension. And the framing was, here's your quick start implementation. Yeah, your quick start implementation on this. There's no edification. There's no, they're basically thinking they're getting out with a CS rep without, titling it as that. They think they're getting out with someone to help them with that, which in all fairness, they are when they talk to a setter, right? It's, oh, did you get your access? Okay, here's what you got. Cool. Yes. And then a very quick transition to, okay, and why didn't you apply for the coaching? And it's like, oh, what coaching? Right? I just saw an ad because you're spending 30 grand a day or whatever. Like, or, these guys, there's other people in space, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a day to low ticket. And it's like, why did you not apply for coaching? All the results you see on the website come from coaching. You're going to get all this personalization. You're going to get this, and then set them with the closer. So the sets from that have the highest show rate and the highest close rate of anything in the company.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, man.
I do. I think over the next 18 months, that low ticket funnel is going to be the most profitable. That's my prediction live on ClickFunnels Radio. We'll see if it's wrong.
The big thing for us, and it's so funny, but we talking about what you said earlier of, problem, solution, product, right? Like this product exists kind of like in that middle. It's not built in a way that is sell 500 units of it a day, which is a ceiling that we can hit of, is it 50, is it 150, is it 300 units so you can sell a day remaining in there. And more so thus far for us, has acted as almost like a retargeting asset because we have so many emails and so many things. So you'll get buyers and they're already in our system from 4 years ago or a year ago or a month ago, which is great. And the math works. And like, they're just coming back into the funnel. And now they're going through the proper funnel to get on the right call and do that with the right framing. But it is not something you can mass sell 1,000 units of a day because of how it's framed and what the product is. More so about what it is or how it's framed than what it is currently more kind of the in the weeds example, right? It's like the specific this weight training or the specific this thing that is not somebody who's mass market, who doesn't know anything about this yet. It exists for someone that kind of has some awareness. So that's what the rebuild. So that's where we're going with this on how we build this. So that funnel style can work for us at mass scale.
Yeah. You could just test other front ends too, right? To even worry about like the different, like you mentioned, whatever unit plateaus you feel like you're going to hit, just opening up. So there's different pieces of a pie to where they're scratching different niches and all kind, nerds.
No, you're 100% right. And like, but then going back to the same thing is brand is so important to us. Quality is so important to us that we're not just going to whip up a low ticket that we're going to sell in a weekend. Like maybe back in the OG days we would, but now with like where we're at with things, it's like goes through the process, goes through the creative director, goes through these, the packaging is there, the graphic designers on the back to make sure all the assets look the same. Like you guys know how it goes.
Yeah,
like,
as it should.
You kind of slow down over time versus when we were in Bali, us three, and I first met them in person and like this whole thing, we shot a course in the living room and sold it like the next day. And like it was still great quality information, but like that's just where we were at. It's like let's film for 12 hours and do 19 iterations of the VSL on page until it's perfect. And it's like, those two are rock stars. The co-founders of this company are rock stars. They put so much grit and time and like just ram their head against a wall 1,000 times on, I mean, gosh, I think of them and him having the marketing mind and her being the actual one who has to, portray the message and like do it. And him just being like, again, and her having to reshoot it. And like, we're all learning it, doing it live. And like, they were rock stars. They were rock stars, 12-hour days, no doubt, for years.
That's so cool.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
I just love this too. Like data. Like you have to be resilient. You have to look at this. You have to iterate and you just have to do it. And then what works? Pick the winner and then iterate again.
Yeah.
And it's 100%. Not just going to be opt-ins, revenue.
Yeah.
Yes.
The path is math. Yeah. People lie, numbers won't.
I like that one.
Yeah. Ryan, question for you. You're a student of the game, clearly. given the library that's behind you. I want to get into books in a second, but my first question is maybe you can pick an honorable mention if you'd like to. One thing I want to commend you on, and Russell taught us this. I mean, God, since Chris and I were children, but um, always invest in yourself. Like, right, never be afraid to pull out your credit card and buy information. You have bought a plethora of courses. What sticks out to you? What's made the most impact for you in your career?
It's been when we're in a pinch or we want to learn something new and I can just devour it. And it's solving a specific problem that we have, right? So like we have paid more, I mean, like mid hundreds of thousands for stuff once we've already been up and running that, oh, we don't understand how this works in sales management or whatever. And we buy the thing for 5 grand, or now internet marketing land, everything's 20 G's. But it's like that, or the like when we were doing the initial launch, I had bought Becker's thing because I wanted to crack YouTube, and it was also about info products and VSLs, and that was like life changing. We had bought
Mm,
consulting.com. Ovens had the most thorough products ever at the time, and like
yeah,
we
they're
had bought
really
that,
good.
and that's then how I met Luke as well, and then we operated based on a bunch of stuff that was in there. Cole Gordon has fantastic stuff, and we bought his stuff at the time, and like he his multiple hybrid approaches and then
Mhm.
his like marketplace side of things. His stuff's been fantastic. I made a video on this that was like, I'm not a guru, but I buy everyone's course like thing. And it's just
Mhm.
like wherever I have an interest at the moment, I've now allowed myself to kind of just freely, aimlessly do this, just with the understanding that I am not going on a side quest. I'm doing it for fun. But the ones that have been really, really impactful have been the ones that have directly overlapped. Like we bought Alan Sultanic's ultimate whatever or automatic thing, and like it's like $20 or something. And next thing you know, I'm buying NHB and I'm learning this. And I end up seeing our CMO as like a guest speaker in there before he was our CMO. And it's more so for me thus far has been the people we've met in there and then the quick wins we can add because when you're scaling into something, you are learning how someone else does it, but applying it to your situation, which sometimes cannot work. Be honest, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not in the same conditions, but sometimes can be a massive multiplier effect. Like if you can pay 5 grand, 20 grand, or if you can just learn something, one little golden nugget when you're doing 1 million a month and it changes a 5 or 20% swing or whatever number, it's large. And it pays for these 5K courses or 1K or 15K thing like really, really quick. That's the whole idea of the masterminds. It's like you're paying 30 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, but you get in the right room, and whether it's a person you meet that changes it or it is a little golden nugget that you change to up your opt-in rate by 3%, it's like you made 100 grand back, no doubt. No
Mhm.
doubt. So
Totally.
honorable mentions are probably those OG ones just because they were so impactful and where we were of learning was just like very baseline. Um, but yeah, some of the more tactical ones that we've bought and implemented throughout the years have been some definite needle movers.
That's awesome. I was actually in a mastermind. This is a dumb story, but since I've already opened my mouth, we were at lunch and he was saying that the best advice he ever got from a mastermind he shared at this table was if you ever get sued, use a lawyer that has the same last name as you. And you're like, look, this is my cousin. We can kick the can down the road as long as you want. Like, you might as well just leave me alone because I can, like, whatever.
Yeah, because I can go forever. It's not non-billables,
Like, my
non-billables. Yeah,
lawyer is free. It's my brother. So
yeah.
we can keep doing this for as long as you want. And I'm
My
like,
sister's
that,
an attorney. That could be my golden nugget of this.
dude, I was like, that could save tens of, like, I mean, I was like,
Yeah,
that's worth the
yeah, no
admission
doubt,
right there. So anyone
no
listening
doubt.
to this, yeah, take that with you. Chris, we got to get into segments real quick. I know we're almost kind of
let's
stretching it.
yeah, let's do some segments real quick.
All right, cool.
Okay, so
Segments,
yeah, go ahead.
brought to you by ClickFunnels.com, our sponsor today. Go to www.clickfunnels.com and listen carefully. Click start a free trial, 14 days on us. Don't worry about it. We've covered the cost for you. Go ahead and check it out. You're going to like it. Chris, hit rhyme with some segments.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. This one is going to be well, actually, you know what? We'll start with hero to zero to hero. So here's the deal. And I think I kind of know what you're going to say, but especially now that you know what I mean, like all these numbers. Do you remember the book that Russell did a few years back, 30 Days? It was literally, hey, if you lost everything and had to start over from scratch, you don't have your name, you don't have your reputation, you're looking on your bookshelf for it. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to play this, all right? There you go.
Yeah,
Ryan,
nice.
you've lost everything and you got to get back
Oh
on
gosh.
top. What's the strategy that you're going to implement in the first 30 days? Nobody knows who you are. You don't have any money, but you have your skill set. What do you do?
I am going to do the exact model I'm in now. I have the skills, right?
You got the skills.
I just have no
Oh,
money
yeah.
and no network.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would go and find somebody that's a non make money online personally. For example, I heard somebody that was doing it with how to grow the largest pumpkin in the world and got up to insane numbers, but I would build an expert business 100%. I would partner with somebody. If I had the skill and the case studies, you can get majority all day ownership of that thing, and you own all the IP, you own the brand, you own the domain, and then you have an expert in it. And I would rip a call funnel. I would have a higher ticket offer because there's more room for error and more cash flow in it than low ticket. Too much iteration on low ticket for me and where my skill set stack lies. And I would do that. You can control the narrative. You can get feedback on the phone calls and run it. And then there's back end, and then there's low ticket, and then there's team, and there's whatever. But like, yeah, if you need to get to 100 grand a month like that, like that's it for me.
That's a good answer.
Super cool. Yeah, it was fantastic. Ryan, for people that are watching, for people that are listening right now, that live under a rock, don't follow you, where do we send them? Where can they go find more information from you and learn more?
Yeah, I just started doing YouTube 80 something days ago, and I've uploaded every single day with a lot of tactical stuff in the beginning and breakdowns and funnels and math and tracking and all of that, and then has now transitioned into me doing some like interviews with cool people like you guys. So yeah, just my name on everything: X, Instagram, YouTube, all just my name, and you'll find it.
Go follow him. Great job, Ryan. This is fantastic. We appreciate you, man. Great interview.
I didn't even get to plug you guys for your 1.0, but this is no joke. This is we use all of our order forms for our sales reps are still on ClickFunnels.
That's awesome.
Love that.
So we
so
have,
cool.
30 of those. Low ticket still on ClickFunnels. The only stuff that's not is like the main funnels that are on our main branded stuff. But yeah, we still use ClickFunnels on everything.
Love it.
Everything.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah. Talk soon, guys.